NWO Report World News.
You testified in your deposition that you did not know the whistleblower.
Ranking member, it's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman.
Very quickly, I'm curious, when Ranking Member Nunez referred to you as Mr. Vindman, you quickly corrected him and wanted to be called Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. Do you always insist on civilians calling you by your rank?
During the testimony of the all-knowing potential Ukrainian defense minister, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, impeachment hearing Commandant Adam Schiff once again flipped out over the potential outing of the whistleblower, thus raising plenty of questions about what Schiff truly knows about that whistleblower.
I want to make sure that there's no effort to out the whistleblower through the use of these proceedings. If the witness has a good faith belief that this may reveal the identity of the whistleblower, that is not the purpose that we are here for, and I want to advise the witness accordingly.
Of course, that's all well and good in order to protect the Democrats' witnesses, but anyone threatening their fragile impeachment narrative is fair game.
Now, the chairman also announces at every hearing that he will not tolerate, and I agree with him, any witness intimidation, any threats, or any issues of trying to bully a witness. Ambassador Sondland, have you, your family, or your businesses received any threats or reprisals or attempts to harm you in any way?
Many.
Could you give us an example or two?
We have countless emails, apparently, to my wife. Our properties are being picketed and boycotted.
Let's explore that one. Our own colleague, Congressman Earl Blumenauer from Oregon, has in fact called for a boycott of your hotel chain or your hotels in Oregon. I'm assuming he believes that will harm you to the point that you will then be bullied into doing whatever he wants done. And I'm hopeful that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will join me in saying, Mr. Blumenauer, you really shouldn't be using your congressional influence to try to bully and threaten a witness before these proceedings, and that is just wrong. I'm going to look forward to my colleague's response, and I yield back.
I was somewhat humored by your request that Mr. Blumenauer not bully to get something done when all we're talking about is the president bullying to get something he wants done.
Representative Jackie Speer then went on to accidentally prove that there is no law protecting a whistleblower's identity. As Breitbart reported, Speer read aloud from a Washington Post article published earlier in the day that fact-checked Schiff's claim that the whistleblower, whom Democrats previously wanted to testify, has a, quote, statutory right, end quote, to anonymity. She read the following into the record.
The law reads, expressly restricts the Inspector General's office from disclosing whistleblowers' identities. It says, quote, the Inspector General shall not disclose the identity of the employee without the consent of the employee unless the Inspector General determines that such disclosure is unavoidable during the course of the investigation or the disclosure is made to an official of the Department of Justice responsible for determining whether a prosecution should be undertaken. Unquote. That appears to be the lone statutory restriction on disclosing a whistleblower's identity, applicable only to the Inspector General's office. We found no court rulings on whether whistleblowers have a right to anonymity under the ICWPA or related statutes. Vladeck said it is nonetheless a best practice to avoid disclosure of the Ukraine whistleblower's identity, given the concerns about retaliation. McCulloch said, we've stepped into bizarro land when senior policymakers are trying to yank a CIA employee into the public spotlight in retaliation for making a whistleblowing complaint, especially when they are credible threats to that employee's personal safety.
After unwittingly exposing Adam Schiff's fraud, Speer went on to insult the president, followed by thunderous applause.
Well, the end of the article does go through that and also says it's 3 Pinocchios in spite of that conversation.
Well, the President of the United States has 5 Pinocchios on a daily basis, so let's not go there.
The applause, which is usually not permitted, solidifies the lopsided mob rule mentality environment overseeing these sham impeachment hearings.
You see, in mathematic fact, 2 plus 2 does equal 4. But in reality, 2 presumptions plus 2 presumptions does not equal even 1 fact. And the fact is, the President did tell you, Ambassador Sondland, no quid pro quo. That's a fact. And another fact, no quid pro quo occurred.
John Bound reporting.